All right. We are officially live in this place. Welcome to the stream. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over here in my time zone. Let me know where you guys are signing in from, what time it is. But welcome to the first, I guess this is the first official panel discussion on my channel where I have more than one guest coming on my live stream. So I'm super excited to have the guest guest that I have today speaking. So real quickly, guys, you guys have both, been on my channel before, but just go ahead and kind of give a quick little brief summary of who you are, and yeah, what you got going on, what your business is all about.
Go for it, Oscar.
All right, cool. My name is Oscar Ortiz. I'm in Houston, and I've been on this journey, God, for so many years. But it wasn't until maybe 2 years ago that is like, look, man, you got all this knowledge, start to share it, and that's really like a level of fulfillment. And the knowledge that I like to share, or really inspiring and make a cause for, is for like men and women to remove alcohol, porn, to recognize patterns in toxic relationships, things that disempower, especially men. So for me, I like to, in my page, showcase ways in order to like start to empower yourself from like alcohol, porn, and people that are just going to bring you down. And there's just so many like levels within inside that, like meditation, mindfulness, your body, your mind, your spirit, that just like, you know what, I don't need alcohol to, to increase and elevate myself. That's what I'm about.
Love that.
Nice. For me, what I've been working with or working on a lot recently is helping men make more smart decisions and less dumb decisions. So coming from a place of like an objective perspective rather than making decisions in the moment based off of the temporary feelings that they have at that moment. So it's just making more smart decisions, less dumb decisions, but very similar to what you got, Oscar, is, well, unless I'm completely wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong. But what I like doing is really trying to dial in the why, the version 2.0 of a person, and trying to understand or trying to really be clear about consumptive behaviors and how we can change those consumptive behaviors into productive behaviors. So kind of like how it's like, I like how Oscar is talking about like the alcohol, porn, so on and so forth, because those are consumptive behaviors that are preventing us from carrying on to bigger, better things, because they take up more time than we really think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, 100%. I love your guys' intros. I think one of the biggest reasons I got you two specifically to have on a panel is because I feel like we all have very similar mindsets around this, around growth, around philosophy and personal achievement. I think that's really the main messages that all three of us kind of do in our own ways. So that's really why I brought you guys on today, and I think we can kind of cap off the episode, because really the thing that came inspired for me was one of the videos I seen on Kyle's page, and it really resonated with me. What you were speaking of, self-belief, and I think that's really the main central topic that we can kind of dive into today. I believe you said that when your beliefs supersede your wants, then you can actually achieve what you desire. And when your wants supersede your beliefs, it's like you have that kind of backwards. So I really loved what you said there, and I'd love to jump it off maybe with that quote and kind of get maybe both your guys' take on that, because I think that is very important to talk about when we're talking about growth.
Totally. For that one, it was the hook was, are your beliefs less than or more than your wants? And the way I break it down is, if your beliefs are less than your wants, then you're going to struggle to accomplish whatever you want. I'm not going to say that you'll never be able to accomplish it, because life is a long game for many people. And I think that it's a game that never ends until the day you die. But if your beliefs are less than your wants, then you're going to struggle to accomplish it. But if your beliefs are more than your wants, then it doesn't matter what degree you want something, you'll be able to accomplish it. So it's having that deep rooted desire where you just know that you can accomplish it. And over time, like I'm a really analytical person, and I go with like a data-based approach because it's more tangible. So it's like you can do things over time to increase your belief by proving to yourself that you can do things. So you're developing self-respect and trust. But yeah, without that, with that like flaky belief system, I think belief can be fairly, like anything is a spectrum, but I think belief can be really binary in the sense of, do you believe you can or you can't? Want changes day to day based off of circumstances, how we feel in the day. Like we can want to have the body, have the money, have the relationships, but it changes day to day. Like there are goals that I've wanted for like the last 5 years, but I can tell you there have been more days where I didn't want it as bad as I wanted other days. But as long as I have the belief as the anchor, then the duration doesn't matter, because if at the end of my life I accomplish the goals I want, does the time it takes to accomplish it really matter? So whether it's fast or slow, it doesn't make a difference if you accomplish it. But if it's the duration that you're paying attention to rather than the objective, then that gets a little skewed. But yeah, so that's beliefs. Beliefs are really important.
Yeah. No, dude, I agree 100%. That definitely resonated with me very deeply when I saw you talking about that. And Oscar, did you have any maybe thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. God, your values and your beliefs are definitely the pathway that leads you to like, okay, I'm here, but I want to get here. And really, beliefs is definitely something that I see a lot of men like, perhaps even struggle with, because they don't like, I don't believe I am that. I want that, but I don't believe I am. Like, okay, cool. So there's a journey. And for me, it's your commitment. So if you don't feel like you're up here and you're here, cool, that's great. Let's work on that. But you got to commit to it. Because as Kyle said, your day-to-day wants will change. However, if you're committed, when it do change, you're going to commit yourself to get back on that road and start to like work on yourself. But yeah, definitely your belief system and your level of commitment. Because nothing like we're always committing to something. We're committing to fail. We're committing to succeed. We're committing to increase our self-love. We're committed to like not increase. We're committed to like, clean our apartment or home. And we're committed to like enhance ourselves. But it all for me, it always starts with committing yourself to it.
Nice.
I love that. Yeah, you guys. Whoops, sorry, lost you guys there for a sec. You guys all bring up really great points, and I definitely agree with the commitment aspect of it. The longevity of it, which was Kyle was speaking to. I'm even reading a book right now that really I think kind of aligns with what we're talking about. So I don't know if you guys ever read Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah.
And one of the parts of the book, it talks about, shaping your identity essentially around your belief system. So like telling yourself, oh, well, I'm not a morning person, or, oh, well, I'm a smoker. I'm not a weightlifter. I don't go to the gym. Like identifying yourself with the actions that you wish to incorporate into your life. Like a lot of it comes from just believing that you have the ability to do that and you can be this kind of person. So even talking more like tangibly, like with self-improvement, a lot of the reasons that men or does anybody fails with that process is because they think, oh, well, I couldn't wake up at 6 a.m. and get things done. I'm not an early riser. I'm not committed to my goals. And like they associate their negative patterns almost with their identity. And I think a lot of that is kind of what we're getting to is when you believe it and when you can identify with the results that you do want, it just makes it that much easier to actually achieve it. So I think a belief in, yeah, it's everything really.
Nice. I totally agree with that. I wasn't sure if you were going to ask a question, but I thought it was really cool. But I think belief also ties into like values and vision as well. If we were to break down belief into more like bite-sized chunks, and I
Yeah.
like saying that like our values and vision drive every decision. I didn't come up with that one. I forget who I got it from, but our values and vision drive every decision. And I think our values and our vision ties into our beliefs as well, because our beliefs can also work as a compass to be able to keep us in alignment. And when we find ourselves veering off the path, I think that our beliefs, where we switch those beliefs, where it's like we go from I'm not a morning person to I am a morning person, but then we just put in the effort to actually prove to ourselves that we are that person.
Mm-hmm.
I think folks forget that there is a duration of time where there is like a calibration period where we need to adjust
Yeah.
who we were to who we want to be, and that's through the effort taken. And I think it's I think that I think like really wanting to become that better version, I think comes from I think it can come from a place where it's like bitterment or resentment from this, that, or the other. Like I want to get jacked because of a breakup, right? But at the same time, eventually that belief should transition to something like I go to the gym because it's just something I do. I think when we go from, it's a neat little like wave where it's like it's conscious effort, then it becomes unconscious, and then it goes into another conscious effort. So we want to do things consciously to the point where it becomes unconscious, and then we just move on to the next thing that we have to consciously put in effort to do until it becomes unconscious again.
Yeah, that's really really good. I mean, everything. I love this whole like panel because you know, speaking of the identity, like I used to identify myself as like an alcoholic. I used to identify myself as like somebody who would watch porn. So there's a version of me that's still there. And I think
Always.
for yeah, always, right?
Mhm.
So for the empowerment is knowing that this version still exists inside of me. That is like that valued lust, that valued mediocrity, that valued just the easy way out, the value just being at home. And like even for a lot of guys that I talk to, they just stay home, smoke weed, and play video games. That guy is also inside of me still. However, consciously creating a habit that now I am now shifting to this other version, because people that get into the whole journey, they know there's a higher version of themselves that's like able to perform, that's able to come out. Speaking of which, like, you know, not being a morning person, but you tell me there's a surfing session at 5 a.m., I'm waking up at 4 o'clock. You know what I mean? I'm not a morning person, but I value fun and I value excitement and I value getting my body being active. So the more you enroll and engage, the more your identity is like, man, you know what? We went being from this guy who like lusted after women that's not good for me to now valuing love and valuing people that are good for my mental health. So this identity just starts to like shift over. That guy is still there. The guy who still wants like the easy way out, the easy women, the easy access to like enjoying life, like in fun, like alcohol and whatnot. But there's a guy that's always been there, that's inside every man, that's like, man, you know what? I can empower the world, I can lead, and I can definitely bring a whole new sense of excitement to my life that's authentic to myself.
Totally. To add to that one too, I think something that a lot of dudes struggle with, and definitely I'm one of these peeps as well, but I love how you said like the person is still there, the person is still within you. And I think where people get really hung up is trying to eliminate that old person rather than just acknowledging that that person's there, you know, or trying to integrate. Because just like anything, we have our like our light and dark side, right?
Mm.
Like we're only one decision away from being able to go in either direction. It's craziness. And I think when we try to at least make peace with who we were to become that would be a really solid chunk. That'd be a solid step to becoming that person, because at least we make peace with it rather than just trying to have that tug of war effect, you know? And I think when people are trying to eliminate, to destroy, to be like, oh, I want a fresh start. It's like, no. All of that, like who you were before, Oscar, who I was before, who you were before, Tino, it contributes to who we are now, for better or for worse. So I think trying to take away that experience, I think we're not really living a full human life. We're not living the full spectrum of it because we're trying to push things down. It's like when if people are saying like, this is a cool one. So let's just say like men don't cry. Well, I cry. So at the same time, because we've been told that for so long, when there's that moment where we do want to cry, where something could be funny, something could be beautiful, something could make us sad, something could make us grateful, we still hold it back. And so we're fighting with that, like, oh, I don't like that. But I think when we make peace with that, like those parts of ourselves, then we can really progress forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, I even like just befriend your shadow self. Just like your shadow self is always going to be there. Just recognize it. You know, it's like, oh, I'm trying to change. Like, don't change. Yeah, it might look like it changed, but you're actually transforming because you're getting your shadow self to be there. Like, oh man, look at me. Like, I'm wanting to like hit the snooze button for the 4th time. That's my shadow self. Oh, look at me. I'm eating this like fast food. Oh, that's my shadow self, right? So just like befriend the version of you that's trying to self-sabotage you to bring you back. And especially what Kyle said, like, man, if you have your values stacked up, does this action align with my values? And just become the observer of that in a conscious way. Like, dude, that's my shadow self, man. That's my shadow self trying to come out. Like, I see you, man. Like, all right, not today, shadow self, not today.
No, that's powerful, because I agree too with like that, and I call it like the low value version of ourselves. Like that's always going to be there. That inner critic, that inner, some guys call it an inner bitch or whatever. Like it's always going to be there.
I call it an inner bitch. I
Inner
ask myself
bitch, yeah.
for something that I use for monitoring myself. This is a tactical thing I think is really cool. But whenever I want to do something and my shadow self is, whispering in my ear, being like, come on, man, it's all good. You can relax. It's okay.
Uh-huh.
I reference to myself. I'm like, hey, are you listening to the beast or the bitch? And the thing that I found is as long as with that one, I'm consciously making the decision to either be the beast or the bitch. And there are times where I am definitely my inner bitch. That's for sure. There's been times where I didn't want to work out because I was really sore, or I just substituted the activity. So instead of workout, I just went for a walk. So I still had that physical activity. But I think something that gets folks into trouble is when they're going back to the unconscious conscious, is when they're unconsciously making poor decisions. Because that accumulates, because then we're living in blissful ignorance. We're not actually sticking to if someone's consciously saying, I'm going to take a rest day because I feel like a bitch. I prefer that rather than being like, da, 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 da. Just like walking through life just willy-nilly, it just doesn't make sense. But I think when people have that conscious, like that recognition, like, oh, it is my fault for this, that, and the other, for success and for failure, it carries over, I think.
No, I think it does, man. I think that's where extreme ownership and accountability comes into play, because you're owning all parts of yourself, the good and the bad. You kind of recognize that, yeah, there's things that I did that maybe I'm not proud of, or that I failed in, that I wish I could do better. You have to almost own that too, because then you basically take power over that. It doesn't have power over you because now you're owning it. So I agree. I wanted to get to Richmond's question here because he popped up on the comments. He said, "What beliefs do you have about power?" And that's kind of an interesting question because I think it kind of goes along with what we were saying about identity and how do you identify power? Because, like, to me, power can mean very different. You know, we could all have our own definitions of what power is. But personally, and I'll kind of like I'll just say from my point of view, I think power can be a very positive thing if you use it the right way. So, in my opinion, everything's application. So, how you use power can be very beneficial. It could generate community, it could generate culture, it could generate people and uplift. Or if you're coming from a negative mindset, it could tear down, it could destroy, it could, be tyrannical. So it depends on how you utilize power. And really, it's funny because I made a video recently about aggression, about ego, and all these different quote unquote toxically masculine things that sometimes gets tossed out there.
I like that post. That was a really good post, actually. That was a gooder.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. But my opinion on that was kind of the same thing with the power. It's like how you use these things is completely up to you. Like, take the labels out of it, take the biases out of it. How can you apply that in your life in a productive, positive way? It's completely up to you. So that's my 2 cents on it. What did you guys think about it?
I think for me, power, especially going back to the previous topic in which your inner shadow self is going to be there. Your inner shadow self knows, and it doesn't know that it's powerful. So it's that first early 15, 20, 30 minutes waking up and choosing to be powerful. And for me, so it's a choice, right?
Yeah.
Because like, oh, today I choose to be weak. Kind of like today I choose to be inner bitch.
Yeah.
But today I'm choosing consciously to be powerful. And for me, it all starts with momentum, especially early in the day. So I get up and I go and I start my walk that leads to a jog, that leads to a run. So now my body somatically is feeling powerful. So now that I'm having this powerful momentum, like jogging and running, I do bring in my belief systems with affirmations. I am a leader. I am brave. So now, like, my body and my mind is now connecting and in alignment in a powerful sense of way. So now that I'm jogging, I'm running, I'm actually this was actually studied, like my vision is now seeing like things progress in motion and movement. So as I'm moving, my mind is recognizing that I am believing to be a powerful, aligned, masculine man. So now you get me 30 minutes, 45 minutes out of that jog. I don't come back home the same person. I'm like, where's that bitch? I'm gonna go fucking go after him. You know what I mean? So like now I'm like a powerful motherfucker. And like now, like, dude, where's the first like major task I gotta complete? And so now I'm creating momentum throughout my day. And that's just one day out of the week. Apply that habit throughout 5 days, 6 days, 7, or take a rest day. Out of the week, out of the month, out of the year, dude. To give up like disempowering habits, such as, we talk about, porn or alcohol, whatever it may be. But you consciously choose yourself to be powerful in the beginning of the day when you wake up and you create that as a habit. You're not going to be the same man in a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. Like, you'll be a powerful motherfucker.
I totally agree with that. I love that. And I think something that folks could forget about as well, because you mentioned like days, weeks, like so on and so forth, right? I think something that folks forget about is that consistency is not X amount of days in a row. Consistency is an average over time. So let's say, for example, the beast only comes out 1 out of the 7 days, and then 6 out of the 7 days is the bitch. And then the following week is 2 out of 5, or it's 2 out of 7. Then the following week is 3 out of 7. And I think when we look at the macro point of view, then we're able to see, like, you know what? There's actually more days where the beast was out compared to the bitch, and that's a win. Because that's progress, and that's momentum as well, I think. But for power, I like to reference Star Wars a lot when it comes to power.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think because a word only has the meaning that words have are what we put onto it. And we all agree on particular definitions of words, but when we take our biases or take our narratives, our BS, our belief systems into account, then we're really able to change things, because all words are made up. So all meanings can be made up as well. And I think power in itself is kind of like the force. It's neither good nor bad. It's the person utilizing it that makes it either good or bad. It comes down to the character traits of the person or the vision and the values of what they want to accomplish. So like, for example, like for me, I think I can make a bigger impact running my own coaching biz, where later on I know that I'll be able to contribute to maybe charities or maybe just programs that are able to help anyone, individuals get to where they want to go, but in a way where it's like it's really impacting people on a broader scale. I just don't trust the government to be able to utilize whatever I would provide it to be able to make the conscious decisions that I think would actually help with betterment. So I would prefer to carry a majority of my power for myself, my power or my ability, my influence, or anything along those lines. I would rather collect that as much as I can for myself, because at least I know where I'm going to be using it. And the variable that is totally there, 100% there, that people may forget is the variable of the individual. So people automatically assume that they're successful or they're this, they're that. They're then inclined to be shitty people. I don't like the narrative of a wealthy person's a shitty person. Like I heard a couple friends of mine, they were talking about how there's this couple. They were attractive, they were wealthy, and they were actually nice people. And that was the way they worded it. And they're like, yeah, you don't get the combination of those three very often. And I just don't like that. That's a shitty narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shitty narrative. But I think like that's the variable that people forget, is that there's an automatic association of like wealth and being a jerk, but that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have wealthy nice people and you can have wealthy shitty people. And I think that what we accomplish over time, the higher levels that we accomplish something, the more the truest version of ourselves come out to play. Because it exposes us. I don't think money corrupts and power doesn't corrupt. It just shows who the true person is.
Mm-hmm.
The corruption's already there.
That's true. That is true. And that's an interesting point that you both bring up, because I think everything is person to person. And again, it kind of comes all back to the identity and the beliefs. Like your beliefs, your values essentially shape the decisions that you make, and vice versa. You know, all that stuff is interconnected. And I love that we're talking too about habits, because habits and building belief systems are literally hand in hand. Like Oscar was saying, when he wakes up, he goes for that run, he gets himself started in the day, he unleashes the beast essentially. I've had to do something very similar. And last week I woke up, my wake up time has been kind of shitty last couple weeks, not gonna lie. I will wake up, hit my alarm, go right back into bed, right? And I was like, I'm sick of this. I want to do something more. I want to do something better. So I would wake up, immediately go take a cold shower, and like just first thing I would do, just get myself jacked, get myself out of it, and then I go for a walk outside, and all the while not have my phone with me. But it's like shaping that identity in yourself and shaping yourself through the habits that you do to almost break your own barriers and break your own self-limiting beliefs of what you can actually be or accomplish. So I'll throw this question out to you guys: is how important do you think habits are when it comes to shaping that identity and that belief around yourself?
Yeah, I think for me, the one habit you gotta have that one primary habit that's going to allow the other habits to fall into place. And for me, that one primary habit that I've adopted, God, on I would say 90% daily is meditation.
Yeah.
And for me, meditation at night and in the morning is to prime my mind to see myself, visualize myself doing the things that the beast would do.
Hmm.
And it's really meditation for me is like, okay, cool. Here's the bitch, and here I love Kyle. I'm gonna take that. Dude. I'm gonna steal
Go for it.
that.
All yours.
The for me, meditation is like, okay, cool. Look, I'm presenting you the bitch and the beast, and they both have equal amount of power. I'm gonna sit here in my own presence. I'm gonna sit here just completely at zero, and I'm just gonna like sit with my being right now.
Mm.
And then once I embody myself and I sit in meditation, and like I love to do like hour-long meditations because I do not come out the same person.
Mm.
That meditation towards the end, then I start to visualize. I actually got this from Dr. Joe Dispenza, a mind movie. And a mind movie, it's kind of like a vision board, but it's all like digital and it's active and you see yourself. People can YouTube them now, like mind movie success, mind movie masculinity, mind movie connection. And then you see in a theta state, this actions people are taking, like, I am a successful man that's, using his skills and talents. And they show a guy like doing public speaking, moving people. Right. So from a theta state, from nothing, I visualize myself being that person. So
Hmm.
that primary habit of meditation and visualizing myself is the one like that ignites like who I'm going to choose to be and believe that I can be.
Nice.
Mm.
Something I think is really cool with this panel right off the bat. Uh, I think it's cool because, like I said earlier, I'm a really analytical person, and I think it's really cool having the combination of myself and Oscar, because Oscar has like the like my I love the just like the mastery and the molding of the mind in the morning. Oh, that was a lot of memes, hey. But I really like how you go with that mindfulness approach or mindfulness, where you're filling your mind up with where you want to be. And I think that that's so beautiful and so elegant. And I think that that's something that's so important, because there's like within here we have the power to accomplish so many things. And then with the approach that I like, which is more, it's an external component, but it goes with an analytical side. So I like how we have the combination of internal, external. So for
Mm.
habits, for me, um, I like to say, like, show me your habits, I can tell you your future.
Hmm.
So if I can look at someone's habits across the course of a week, I can tell them where they are going. Because I think, like, if it happens once, it's a fluke. If it happens twice, it's a habit. If it happens 3 times, it's a ritual.
Mm.
Because then you're going to be doing same thing all the time. Whether it's good for us or bad for us, it doesn't matter. It's still a habit, right? Or it's still a ritual. And I really like taking the 90,000 foot view, or whatever, the 10,000 foot view, or just like the macro view of saying, like, okay, so this is how my day looks now. This is who I want to be. Now, what does their day look like? And then you're breaking down the habits and behaviors and characteristics of who you want to be into a tangible checklist that you can accomplish throughout the day. So I think, like, having that cool combination where you really emphasize the affirmation and who you want to be in the morning, because that's when you're setting the pace for the day, right? And then if you think, this is actually a pretty cool idea. And then if you think, like, okay, so out of the characteristics of the person I want to become, what are the 3 main drivers of becoming that person? No more than 5, but if someone has 3 things that they accomplish in that day, then they can at least, like, affirm, like, okay, I believe, or I'm affirming who I want to become. Now I'm taking the action steps to becoming that person. And what that does is that it also proves to us that we are becoming that person. And as a side effect, we get what we want by becoming that person. Rather than trying to aim for that outcome, we just be the person, and what we get comes as a side effect. There we go.
I like that.
I like that a lot too.
Yeah. One thing I like to work with people is that, especially with like scarcity, like I think there's a lot of guys, or let's just say like the inner bitch guys, and I fall into that as well. Like, you know, and on just to put a label on it, like the nice guy. It's the scarcity mindset. Like, well, I can't do that. I've never been that. I've never done that. And then let's just use a little more like something that's measurable. So like, just say like income. If you tell somebody, hey, look, earn 40,000 a year, people are going to believe it. Okay. Now, how about 60,000? All right. 80,000. Okay. 120,000. Whoa. Right.
Like, show me it. Yeah.
250,000. Like, can you believe that you'll make $250,000 a year? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Like that right there, as you start to increase more of an abundance, there's like your body and your belief system, your inner bitch is like, whoa, start to back away. And you tell somebody like, look, you're gonna make 500,000, $500,000 a year. People will now like start their body, their physiology, like, oh shit, I can't do that. However, if you start to prime yourself, like, yeah, okay, cool, 100,000, okay, you start to make your body believe it before your actual like inner knowing of it. 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, $1 million. Just kind of like be it. Have your whole body encompass this new version that you want to do it. And it's going to take like chiseling down this belief system, because like our body, our mind, it's going to be like, fuck, you know what? I can make $500,000 a year. And I'm in sales. And this is something I teach my guys. Like I coach them like, look, what's your number for this month? Well, I want to generate 80,000, in revenue sales. Dude, I'm gonna challenge you to do 120. And I want you to fucking believe it. Like I teach them the whole priming thing. Like I want you to make an image on your phone that says I made 120,000 in net revenue sales for the month of August. And I want you to like sit there and look at it where you actually start to believe it. And I use this for like other things. I even have an image of myself, and I put all the things that I like, all my belief systems that I want to encompass. So after my meditation, I'm like, cool. I'm running 3 miles a day. I'm putting this much amount of money in my investments. I'm doing these things. I'm just like, I'm believing it because I'm staring at it. So now it's true. Like it's out of a thought, out of creation. And so now when my being gets involved into being that man that is creating all the action steps that I'm priming myself to do.
I like that too, because it encourages like a snowball effect. Because I think like a lot of folks really do not take advantage of momentum. And
Facts.
When momentum really starts going, it's like the juggernaut sometimes, man. Like it's like the juggernaut where it's just an unstoppable force. It just keeps on going. And the only time that it stops is when we stop. So I love that. I love like how like the visualization, like you're like, yeah, I'm going to become that person. And then that person is going to do the things. Then it continues on and it perpetuates. And I think like, what do you guys think is like what do you guys think is when someone doesn't have momentum, what do you think is the best place to start with momentum? Obviously there's just getting started, but yeah, what do you guys think of that? Like building momentum, creating momentum, keeping the momentum going, and not preventing, but like decreasing the amount of times that we fall back on past behaviors, I suppose.
I mean, I can speak to that because a lot of that is stuff that I try to work with on with my one-on-one clients. So a lot of guys have the same issue that I work with, trying to create structure in their life, trying to build a schedule, trying to get a time management, all things personal development stuff. And what I try to do, and it comes back to the belief thing, is like, okay, see the kind of guy that you want to be. What is your ideal? You want to be waking up at 5:30 a.m., go straight to the gym. You want to start a side hustle, start doing something on the side, like a business, maybe build something like that. I try to incorporate that as fast as humanly possible. So like what my whole thing is, I want you to start showing up as that guy right now. Like literally start living that life as it
Nice.
is right now, which is what I think we were both talking about earlier, is like incorporating that lifestyle and showing up as that man today. Like not a year from now, not a month from now,
Hey
but start
Tino,
living that.
can I start on Monday instead of today? Just joking.
Well, that's the thing is like, sometimes we make that justification. It's like, well, I'll give it a weekend, or like, I'll just hang out. Like I'm having fun right now. It's whatever. Which, again, there's everyone needs their balance. But I think the sooner that you can start understanding that this stuff is possible and you can start seeing that win. And this is something else I try to harp on with clients is like, overemphasizing their wins, because some people don't acknowledge their wins. They just look at the losses, and it's human nature. We look at the negative. We look at things that I wish I could have tweaked that or whatever. And it's good to acknowledge. Obviously, you have to pay attention to that, but it's just as important too to look at the positive incremental changes that you are making, to give yourself that reinforcement. You're like, yo, dang, I did really good in the gym this weekend. I hit a PR, or I hit my goals this week with my macros. Like it's just as beneficial to look at the positive reinforcements. So that's what I would say to it.
Nice.
I would say, and it's probably the easiest way to do it, and it's kind of the thing that got me on my path, is get a coach.
Yeah, pretty much.
Man.
Yeah. Can't dispute that.
Because one, okay, here's the word, and it ties in with commitment. When you invest into somebody, like, yo, what you're doing, I want you to show me how to do that, right? So now you're willing to create this version of yourself. Perfect. Let's take the bitch and be like, that beast, I'm willing to do the work. Mm-hmm. You get an array, you do your research, you hired a coach. And the times that I've hired like a coach in different areas of my life, fuck. I've seen things like, just like, oh shit, 3 months ago I was like here, now I'm here. Mm-hmm. Because depending on the coach, they're gonna have accountability, they're gonna have action steps, they're gonna have like things that they're gonna be able to see and call out on your bullshit. Oh man, that's another thing. You got to be coachable. You can't just be like, hey, here's my money, make me into a beast, man. But you're not willing to do the work or have the introspection, like look inside of yourself, like, fuck, oh, this is where the inner bitch has been coming out. You got to be willing, you got to be coachable, and the key word for me for today is you got to be committed. Mm-hmm. That momentum is just like, it's going to come naturally. And then once you're done with your coaching session, if it's either like a month, 3 months, or however, you guys hire your guys' time frame of coaching sessions, that person coming out of your guys, like commitment to work with that person, I'm like, dude, I'm so proud of you. Look what you're doing.
Yeah. People who pay attention, man.
Dude. So yeah, to get me willing, that making that investment, again, like things that are free, like if all this information, even that what we're talking about, then that we gathered, even things that I pay for, it's available free on, array of platforms. It's free.
It is.
But the one guy or the group of men who are willing to invest, like, yo, I'm serious about this. Tino, hold me accountable. Kyle, hold me accountable. Dude, that guy, after like time, the willingness and the commitment, is going to come out a completely different man.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I love that.
Something I like, it kind of ties in with beliefs as well. But when I have a client or when I have a prospect popping on in, and they're like, and it goes through regular objections, like don't have time, have to talk, like whatever the objection is. It usually comes down to a variation on belief. And for my clients, I like, or at least the prospects, I like to think of it like when our parents were telling us to brush our teeth when we were kids. None of us wanted to brush our teeth, but our parents held us accountable to brushing our teeth. And now I'm pretty sure most of us brush our teeth. I'm probably the least of, just joking. I brush my teeth daily. But I think having that external accountability, then it becomes an internal habit. But what I say to my prospects is, you know what, honestly, like it is going to be a struggle. There is commitment, there is consistency, but you can borrow some of my belief in you until you build up enough of your own. And I think that's the real a component of coaching that people don't really acknowledge or talk about, is that most coaches out there truly do want to help others. And through that process of like, if I'm chatting with someone and there's a potential of them becoming a client, I will make sure and be like, okay, so is this person going to be a good fit? Like I'm filtering through like certain things. And I wonder to myself, like, or I think to myself, okay, is this person going to be like, does this person want to or not? Are they going to show up or not? Because some people just talk big games. But I think some of the clients that I've experienced that have made the biggest progress did not believe in themselves at the beginning. And then through that external accountability, and then also just like, because the coach, the mess is the message, right? Like folks forget that for the most part, that coaches have gone through the same thing that they are wanting to go through or wanting to overcome. So it's just taking that time frame and condensing it down. There we go. And condensing it down. And I guess realistically, people can go about it and do like their own journey and stuff like that if they want to, but it goes to the duration. Like most people want things a little bit quicker. So why not just hire a coach to be able to fast track all those life lessons that you would otherwise have to learn? Because the trajectory and the systems and the habits, the beliefs and the identity are basically all in alignment. Like they're all pretty consistent across the board. There's very unique variables and very unique components to it. But if you look at the common denominators, they're going to be the exact same. And everyone benefits from coaching. Everyone benefits from visualizing who it is they want to become. And everyone benefits from reflecting on the daily habits. That was a little bit of a tangent there.
No, I love it. And I mean, I think we can all kind of speak to this because we all have at one point either invested in coaching ourselves or offer coaching to our audience now. And, you know, I can speak to this too, is like, I always find it really interesting because I think any good coach has undeniable belief in their clients. And that's not even potential clients too. People that I see with a lot of, a lot going for them. I see the person that they can be. I see the potential that they have. But I always tell myself, and I'll sometimes address it to my clients, is like, the change is not going to really happen for you until my belief becomes your belief. Like if you start to believe that's the difference. Like I could think that you can change all you want. I can believe in you all that I want, but nothing's going to change until you believe it.
Nice.
One point of reflection I like to start off with, really everybody, but when you're working with somebody one-on-one, is that I start off with like, I already see you I already see the greatness in you, and I already see you in your greatness.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that right there is the catalyst for me to like talk to you as you're in your greatness, work with you as in your greatness, and to walk alongside with you as you don't see yourself in that same belief system. Walk with me as I see you in your greatness, because there's greatness inside everybody.
That was great wording.
I think so.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That was good. Yeah.
You can take that one. We can swap.
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Crazies.
But yeah, it's true. Like it's interesting. I challenged myself this past Sunday. It was so funny. I challenged myself to walk up to a stranger and invite them for lunch and just sit down and sit with their story. And it was the coolest fucking thing. So I'm walking and I'm getting rejected. And it was just like a challenge that I had for myself, like to just walk out to somebody, complete stranger, offer them lunch, and like, dude, I just want to sit here and listen to your story. And I got rejected here, left and right. I was like, what is it about me right now that's projecting not wanting to be with somebody? It's like, you know what? I'm being kind of eager. Finally, I realigned myself. I walked to somebody. This dude was just like, he was just walking and like, and I was like, hey, excuse me, sir. I'm doing this thing today. I'm challenging myself. I want to sit down with somebody at lunch or say coffee and just get to know their story. And he's like, what? He's like, why? He's like, well, because look around. There's people just kind of zombied out. They're just numb. And I want to like test this where I see people's greatness and I want to hear about it. And this dude was just like, dude, I challenge anybody. And it kind of goes into the whole, like, if you're into like the whole pickup game as well, you know, just like getting in your comfort zone and engage, enroll and engage. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I'm sitting with this dude and we're walking and he's like in his mid-40s, just got out of divorce. He's back in the dating game, but his story was just so like, oh my, I got so much out of it, you know, I was able to create something out of nothing, because for me, it was like, dude, people are in their greatness. Let's get it out of it. Let's hear about it. It was a beautiful moment. I challenge people to try that.
I think something else is kind of cool to add to that too, with everyone having their own kind of variation of inner greatness, is I think people tend to forget that, because it comes so natural, like their particular, like their own specific skills and their capabilities, they're so used to it that they don't realize that they're actually great in it.
That's awesome.
So it's like one thing that I know that I'm good with, or a particular skill that I undervalue. There we go. That I personally undervalue, that I have, is kind of like along the lines of what you were talking about, is just like talking to strangers. I am so easy to just like chat with. Like, you do not need candy to lure me into a conversation. Let's just say that. and so I think people need to just remember what that particular skill is, and then really be able to use it and draw from it. And it may seem so normal and so like nonchalant to you, because it could be something that you do on a day-to-day basis, but it could actually very well have a huge impact on someone's life, where it could be a missing piece of the puzzle that they just needed to hear the sentence in the right way. It's like you can hear something 9 different ways, but it's on the 10th time that you hear it, and it's because of that particular delivery, or it could be that particular skill that someone has. Like, even if you're at a bar, I love bars. I love bars. Like, I've loved bars for like ever. And even without like, even for this year, because this year I'm challenging myself to a year no alcohol. And it's not that bad. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, it's so crazy. It's like, no, it's not actually that bad. It's like, it's pretty funny, because I was like that person as well. And I thought, that's a different conversation, but I think bars are like so amazing in every capacity, because like specifically bar tops, because think of the stereotype of like a bartender. You have a problem, you go have a beer and you chat with the bartender, right? Or someone else that's along the line there, because most of the people that are hanging out at the bar top are regulars. There are very few people that are not regulars that are a bar top, which that is a travel hack. If you ever want to like really like experience whatever you're in, just go to a local bar, chat with the bartender, chat with the tenants of the customers, and you're going to be able to find some really, really cool shit. Like,
that's true.
One that was really cool, one experience with this is where it could turn into fun, but also I'll go back to like the actual part where it's development, but where it could be fun. My girlfriend and I were in Amsterdam, and we just always sit at the bar, always. And we don't know who we're sitting next to, right? Mm-hmm. So, but we're setting up the opportunity to converse with others. So it was like it was like we were 4 days left in Amsterdam, maybe 3 days left, and we were hanging out with the bar manager of the place. And then she's like, "What are you guys doing? Because you're obviously not from here." And we're like, "Yeah, we're from Canada." And yeah, I'm not sure if you know this, but people love Canadians when they're traveling. Yeah, can't say much for the U.S. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
But,
you can.
yeah, you can
Max.
you're honorary Canadians now. Just say you're Canadian, you'll go anywhere. But yeah, we ended up going to like an after party, just like an industry after party.
Just for being Canadian?
What's right?
Just for being Canadian? You get invited to parties?
I feel like, honestly, sometimes, yeah, because I heard of like some Americans that actually put Canadian patches on their bags.
Oh shit!
What?
So that people think they're Canadian and they don't know they're American. Like it's pretty cool. Like it's crazy. I think Americans are the only ones that don't really acknowledge what people think of them. I'm just joking. I'm just bugging you. Just jokes.
The truth behind that. The truth behind that, man. It's anyways, but that's all.
Totally. But I think when someone's at a bar and they're like really contemplating, or maybe they're journaling at a bar, because there's been many times that I've journaled at a bar, and then I'm just like, you know what? I'm really stuck on this, and this. And there's been a couple really good ideas or some knowledge bombs. Let's like bar wisdom. I like to call it bar wisdom, where like the person that's there, they just drop the knowledge bomb. You just hear it at the right time. You're like, wow, that's so cool. So I think going out and like acknowledging someone else's greatness, or like even if they don't think of it as greatness, like what Oscar was doing, where you wanted to talk to someone, just like bring it out. And I like that you kept on going and you didn't stop at one person, which is cool.
Dude. And really you could do this. I honestly look at Saturday. People are going to be out of their regular routine if they work Monday to Friday, but go out today, go into your corner store, go out to the gym and just see everybody in their greatness. And what you're doing there is that it's a projection of like right now, for example, Kyle, Tino, like I see you guys in your guys' greatness. And why is that? As I do that, I'm recognizing that it's actually inside of me as well. So if people go out throughout their day, at their drive-through, just mindfully, consciously see people in their greatness. You know, like the guy behind dude, one of my favorite stories right before I gave up alcohol is like I walked up to a GNC, go get some protein powder. And this dude was talking about like pre-workouts. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm not doing so well. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I think I'm like depressed and sad and I might be like an alcoholic. Like that guy at the moment, he saw my greatness and he just held space. And it was a gift this stranger gave to me. So if we walk through our day and giving a gift to other people to see them in their greatness without even them knowing it, dude, we're just like, here, this is what I see in you. And you're a fucking amazing person.
Dude, to add to that, like I like the saying, like our projections are reflections. So you saying that you're recognizing our greatness is a projection of your reflection. I like that. That's sweet.
Yeah, I'm gonna start charging you on these, bro.
Yeah.
Get some patents organized or something. Copyright. No, I was
TM.
I was just gonna say that myself. I'm glad Kyle brought that up. Like your projection is your reflection, because I was literally thinking that exact same thing. Is like when you recognize greatness in others, or you recognize somebody for their talents, for their skills, that's latent potential inside of you that you have yet to tap into. And I've always believed that. I've always been a proponent of like, you spot it, you got it. You know, it's kind of one of those things. And I'm throwing in my catchphrases.
I like it. I'm gonna steal it. Go steal it. Yeah.
But it's really true. And what I find interesting is like a lot of the times people have this very negative lens to reality, and they see people at their worst, kind of like the opposite polar end of what we're talking about. It's like, oh, well, this person's like, I see laziness, I see pain, I see suffering, I see just whatever connotation you want to throw on top of it.
The character traits that you just don't like.
Yeah, these just negative character traits. And then I believe a lot of the reason that people do that is because they either see it in themselves or they're ignoring that side of themselves that they wouldn't like to admit is actually there. So like coming back to that inner bitch, they don't want to admit that it's there. So they're kind of seeing that and it's almost like triggering them in a way. But like
Yes.
you can choose to see it another way. You can consciously choose to be like, all right, I see a person who's lazy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You could also frame it's like, well, I see someone who's uh who's ambitious, who's at least trying, who has the potential to be a hardworking person, has good qualities and stuff. So it's like it's just about how you frame it and how you use your perspective to your advantage.
And we can bring it back full circle to, stay on the topic of seeing people in their greatness and building momentum. How about you just start off your day, you're brushing your teeth, except for Kyle, and you're looking, and you look yourself in the
Yes.
mirror, you look yourself in the mirror, and even if it's for a millisecond, even for a second, and just hold it and just see yourself in your own greatness.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And then ask yourself, what would somebody do? While you're looking at yourself in the mirror, what would somebody in their greatness do right now or the next hour? Oh shit, you know what? Somebody in the greatness would probably, pick up around this place, or somebody in the greatness would probably put on their running shoes and start to go for a walk. Somebody in the greatness would actually call their loved ones and be like, yo, I just want to tell you, like, you mean so much to me. But it just starts out with looking yourself in the mirror and like seeing the greatness inside of you. Even if it only lasts, even if your belief system gets stretched each day as a habit to see like, yo, I see greatness right fucking there.
Mm. Mm.
I think something that's cool to that as well. This is like really sweet because something I like is to walk around and, like you said, you can recognize someone's greatness. And the thing that's cool is that there's different the variables or degrees of greatness as well. Because there have been times where I think recognizing greatness could also be a great way to draw out gratitude. And
Yep.
I think when you see, like, let's say a parent that's like walking down the street and you know for a fact that there's points in their day where they're just like putting a kid to bed, for example. I don't have kids, but I imagine that would be a very difficult task to put a kid to bed. But then earlier in the day, you also get to see like them in the moment of being with their kid, and that's when you see the greatness. And I think that there's something just inherently beautiful about I think there's a beauty in recognizing the greatness as well, where when you see it, you're like, oh my gosh, that is like a second, but in that moment, that is like the most amazing thing that you can witness. I think recognizing greatness and gratitude can go hand in hand.
Dude, and now you're talking about conscious parenting and conscious relationships. Like if you're with your partner and you're just like having conversation and like or driving and they're next to you or your kid and you're just there, just mindfully recognizing their greatness changes the dynamic of the conversation right then and there. And people won't do that. People will be like, oh man, my kid's a brat. Oh man, my girlfriend's bitching at me again. Just
Or
sit like
how often have you heard, I love my kids, but
right.
don't get me wrong, I love my kids.
No. Yeah. I've been there. Parenting is exactly like parenting also applies to the inner bitch and the inner like beast.
Totally.
And you project that into like the people that are around your life, especially your loved ones.
If anything, they get it the most. The people closest to us are always going to be able to filter through our own BS.
Dude, speaking of like something you mentioned, Kyle, was like your why. Like for me, it's always been my kids.
Good.
And then not too long ago, my kid's like, you know what? Like he's 13, but he's like, I don't see you drinking. And it's funny. It's not something that I think I'd consider wanting to do because I see you doing it. I'm like, oh shit. Like they don't even want to drink Coke. It's like, look, if you're not drinking alcohol, why would I drink Coke? I know it's not good for me. Or pop. How do you guys say it?
Yeah. Sodas, pops.
Soda.
Yeah. So funny. I don't honestly. I don't even know what we call it up here. I think most people call it pop, to be honest.
Pop, soda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know any other nicknames for it.
Yeah, here in the South we call it everything's Coke, even
Coke.
even Sprite is Coke.
What?
Yeah, even some Coke.
Hey, do you want a Coke? Do you want Sprite Coke? Do you
Yeah.
want Coke Coke? Do you want
I want orange Coke.
orange Coke? Oh, so
Yeah,
like
you're
Orange Crush. No,
very
no, Orange
specific
Coke.
what Coke you're talking about there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, dang. Well, that's interesting because, talking about parenting and talking about the influence of your kids is like, I remember, I think we lost Oscar's video for a sec. There you go. There we go. I was thinking of a time when my father was actually, he was a smoker for a long time, and I remember me and my brother would like have to just sit there and I always hated that smell of like that cigarette and like being around it, and like I even to this day, like I go into casinos and sometimes I'm like, oh god, like I don't want to go past the smoker section because it grosses me out. But I remember when we were young, he would do it all the time in front of us, and just obviously he wasn't trying to, but that's just what happened. And we would always tell him like, oh god, like can you stop that, it stinks, and like we just give him all this like crap for it. And I'm not going to say that me and him were the ones that got him to eventually quit smoking, but I think almost that, like, even though I'll probably take credit for it, that I think that like reinforcement of me and my brother, almost recognizing his greatness, kind of bringing it back to that and being like, yo, I don't see you as a smoker. I see you as a healthy, put together father. I mean, that's kind of the frame that we were coming from. Eventually he was able to kick the habit, and he's been clean for like
Wow.
10 some years now, and he hasn't smoked
shit.
since. So
Nice.
Wow.
it's powerful.
Man, I love how you said like recognize the greatness in others. Like I'm definitely going to I'm probably going to use that in a sentence where it's like, well, why is it that you want to like work with me? It's because I recognize the greatness in you, and you just don't see it in yourself. And I think that's so huge.
It's the most unselfish, loving catalyst for change from one reflection to another. Like I love the whole like, namaste, like the inner God in me says the inner God in you, recognizes it. Like, I've been there where, going back to like, the work that I do with like alcohol, porn, and toxic relationships, like I fucking been there, man. So when I work with men that are like, they're just like beaten down by life and by habits and things like that, like, dude, I fucking been there. But guess what? I see the fucking greatness in you.
Mm.
I think something that's cool that Ed Milet talks about is that he tells a story about how his dad was an alcoholic, and he told a story. He woke up at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning, and he looked over at his wife. He's like, there was one stranger that helped my father. And so there's always like the guy at GNC for you, Oscar. Like there's always that one person that we like. Every person that was great or is great has had a stranger inspire them.
Dude.
Mm.
It wasn't something they were born with or something. There's always like a catalyst of a stranger or even someone that but usually it's like a stranger because they have like an objective point of view. Mm-hmm. But there's a stranger that's like says the same thing where it's like, I see greatness in you. Like I actually had, it wasn't a stranger, but I was working in the restaurant industry, and I still remember it to this day. His name's Graham Simons, super cool guy. We're still buds to this day. But he said to me, he's like, Kyle, you have like, and this is a time where I was an unsavory individual. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I was an unsavory individual. And he said, Kyle, you got like the face of a leader. Like you can be a leader. People will listen to you, but you just need to like basically get your head out of your ass is what he was basically getting at. And that was a moment where I was like, holy shit. And I still think about that to this day, especially in those days where I feel discouraged. Like I don't feel like a leader, or those moments where there's like that inner critic and that the bitch comes out to play and they're like, oh, hey, are you a leader? Are you sure? It's like, no. Because I think actually this ties into it pretty cool. And I'm just kind of thinking of all of this on the fly right now. But I think something that's really cool with a stranger saying something like, or someone that you don't hang out with often, but when you hear someone or you have that memory of someone saying there's greatness in you, or you have the face of a leader, or you can actually really positively impact people. I think when we have our own inner critic trying to have like an unbiased opinion of us because we know our own like shenanigans, but when we have that objective perspective telling us like we can do this or you can do this, or like they see that inner greatness, I think that's a really good thing to remember in those moments when we're at our darkest. Hey, that person told me that I could do this. That person told me that I have inner greatness. So if other people are recognizing it, how can I tell them they're wrong? Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really good way to modulate, maybe not modulate, but to really counter, there we go, to really counter those intrusive thoughts. It's like, no, like that person believed in me, kind of like coaching. That person believed in me. That is going to be a data point. It's like, no, I can definitely do it because someone else recognizes it too. And I think for folks that are listening, just try to remember like the most objective, unbiased perspective, because parents are a little bit biased. Like that's just fact. Like there's peeps that are like, well, my mom says I'm funny. You're not funny. Sorry. It's just your mom. It's just your mom that thinks you're funny. But I think when we have those people like the dude at GNC or Graham back in the kitchen days, I don't have a reference for you, Tino. Sorry, but there's
I'll pull one out later.
Perfect. I love it. So when we have those people that have that objective POV, then we can really we can latch onto that for strength when we don't have enough strength in ourselves.
Well, one thing I'll never forget, besides that GNC encounter, was a very dark moment in my life, and somebody called me, and I didn't know I didn't know who this guy. I've seen him around my men's church group, but he called me. He's like, "Hey, I got your number from our friend Big O, and he told me what you're going through, and I'm gonna give you a call every day, and I'm gonna walk with you because I've been there. And one time somebody walked with me, and because they walked with me, I'm gonna walk with you." And I've never forgot that, because even now when I work with people or I do my content, I'm like, I'm gonna walk with you because at one point in my life, somebody walked with me until I got to the other side.
Yeah.
And I've never, ever, ever forgotten that, because that was probably one of the greatest gifts that somebody gave me, was to walk in my journey to the other side. And now I want to walk with you as you go to the other side, because somebody did it for me. So now I'm gonna do it for you.
I think, I love that story. I think going to with greatness cascades.
Oof.
For sure. Definitely does.
Yeah. So that person's greatness cascaded into your greatness, and your greatness is cascading into another, and so on and so forth.
Oof. Man,
Like
greatness
dominoes.
cascades. That's good.
I have some of those. I have some nuggets like that every once in a while. Hey, if you subscribe to this email, you'll get all of our catchphrases.
For real, we got so many in this stream. Man, we'll have to make a book.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But it's interesting that it's always someone, usually that's can be a total stranger, a complete stranger, that gives us some kind of inspiration, or like you said, objectively tells us things. And that sticks with us longer than sometimes the people that are closest to us. And I've definitely had that happen in my life where, I had people that I don't even know, just like tell me, hey, like I love your content, or just like, oh, what you said really speaks to me, speaks volumes. I'm like, dang, I don't even know this guy, and he's telling me I changed his life. It's like,
Dude.
that kind of stuff is
Dude.
like it's very powerful.
I
Yeah,
completely
that's-
agree.
But yeah, I think that pretty much pretty much wraps up everything I had to say for the stream. I think we really pulled a lot of nuggets out. We had a lot of great conversations and topics around like belief systems and greatness. I think that was an awesome piece that we talked about in length.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody tuning in, maybe you're showing up late, definitely go back and run this back because there was so much great information in here, very valuable things, very actionable things too, I think, that you can start applying today. So any last minute or just like last summaries of points or anything you guys want to throw out there before we get out of here?
I think the combination of things that we said today is really cool because we don't believe something is possible until our narrative is shifted or until someone else tells us that they have done something. Does that make sense? And so I think at least if someone hears a particular sentence, that could be like, it could eliminate particular BS or belief systems that we've had or people have had before. And I think there's a cool combination of internal and external like perspectives and tactical points to actually be able to like say, okay, so I should take some time in the morning, think about the person I want to be, so that we got the internal. And then we have the external where it's, let's look at what I'm doing and am I acting in conjunction with that person? And I think that's my favorite part of that one. I like the doubles. I like the combination on that one. It was fun.
And for me, I guess really, if you're listening to this in your car, if you're watching this at home, just look yourself in the mirror, rearview mirror, and be like, I recognize the greatness inside of me. And then ask yourself, what would greatness do at this very moment?
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, just to add to that, guys, I would say my closing remarks are pretty much echo to what you guys just said. Like, whatever you're trying to achieve, the kind of man you're trying to be, the ideal version of yourself, like, show up as that person today. What would he do today? What would make him great today? What would your higher self do to get you closer to your goals today? So I would say whatever you're trying to do right now, show up as that person now, and then you'll look back 3 months from now and be like, oh shit, I am that person. So yeah, belief is huge. And I want to thank Oscar. I want to thank Kyle for being on here for the first official panel of the channel. I thought it was an awesome conversation. So where can people find you in case they want to go deeper with your content, guys?
For me, it's on Instagram, Take.Your.Power.Back 240, and then on TikTok, which I'm really kind of switching my platform more towards TikTok, is take back your power.
Nice.
I do monthly challenges, and each day I post about that challenge. And right now, the challenge I'm holding is a no contact challenge. It's really kind of transition, breaking away from like a dynamic relationship that was disempowering you. And it's always that space after the initial removing yourself that people kind of struggle with. So I'm doing a challenge right now, and then whole no contact.
Ooh,
Nice.
that's pretty cool.
It's fucking dope, dude. I love it. I love this month's challenge.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'll go follow you and check it out.
Yeah.
For me, my everything is WarriorBodyKyle. So Warrior Body Kyle. There's no dots or anything. It's just it's like that on the TikTok, the Instagram, the YouTube. That's where I spend most of my time. All my time.
Nice.
Yeah, guys, and real quick, shout out to Outlier. Great advice, lads. I appreciate you stopping by, man. He was actually a guest on my last live stream, so might have to get him on a future panel with some of you guys because I think we can all, join heads and kind of like go bounce ideas off each other. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'll obviously leave all your links down in the description in case you wanted to check them out. You know where to find me. Obviously you're on my channel. You find my IG there. You want to go deeper with it, I obviously offer coaching, so you can find applications in the links down below as well. So I want to thank Oscar and Kyle again. This was an awesome conversation. I definitely hope to have something like this again in the future because it was like just a dope conversation.
That was cool.
It was really cool.
So appreciate you guys. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you all next week on the next stream. Doses.
Peace.